This is the thing I am most flummoxed by. And Richard, as the gamer of the three of us, I would say, I'm curious to know, A, you should probably explain what this thing is, because I think it's actually harder to explain than it seems like it should be. But then I want you to convince me that this is actually a thing that needs to exist in the world, because I'm not sure.
I will do that, but I'll start by apologizing because it's basically my fault that everything Sony announced this week exists. Oh. And I'll explain. I'm sorry. I did this to the world. I will have to repay them somehow, perhaps in tokens that you could invest in on my blockchain.
Oh my God.
Click every link Richard sends you.
So they have introduced the PlayStation Portal. This is something, they kind of hinted at it. That it said that it was coming earlier this year. It is a screen in the middle of a DualSense controller. That's it. It plays PS5 games over Wi-Fi from your PS5. You can't really do anything else. It's $200. You cannot connect Bluetooth headphones to it. If you want to use if you want to use some wireless headphones with it, you need to buy some of their new audio gear. They have $200 wireless earbuds.
Oh, wait, I just want to underline that means they cost as much as the PlayStation Portal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like your full kitted out price for a Portal and headphones is $400.
At least, $350 if you want the cheaper, crappier headphones. But it's I want to come back to PlayStation Link because I think we'll come back to it. Preposterous.
Okay. I just wanted to underline that price.
Yeah.
Yes. The reason why you can't just use your regular headphones or perhaps Sony's other headphones that they introduced, they just released the new XM5 earbuds not that long ago. But they don't have the PlayStation Link audio technology that lets you get lossless audio and low latency audio, which of course is important for gaming. But I think people use Bluetooth headphones with their Steam Decks and whatnot, and it's fine. They live with it. They survive. They don't die.
Yeah, you compare Bluetooth headphones to a Switch.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, Sony has said, no, you will use our headphones, these specific PlayStation headphones, or you won't use anything at all, I guess. But the reason why this is my fault is I take a look at my desk, at the table that I have sitting next to my couch in my living room, and there's a lot of gamer headsets on there. That cost way too much money, and I've just bought too many of them.
How many does one person need?
More?
Touche.
Like there's always another one. There's always a new feature. There's always something else. There's always, what? I think the reason why I lost that match is because my headset wasn't good enough.
Oh, yeah.
Which it's logical. It makes
If you'd
sense.
been able to hear them sneaking up on you in spatial audio, you would have gotten. I got you. I understand.
Can I say the most old man thing about gamer headsets?
Yeah.
So I mostly only play online games with my actual friends, and we have all discovered that it's easier to make speakerphone calls on our phones than to fuck with headsets. So I just have my phone with FaceTime audio on a conference call, just like on the coffee table. It works so much better than gamer headsets.
But that's only because you guys can't figure out Discord.
I was just going to say, you just described the whole origin story of Discord.
I'm just saying.
Which is a bunch of nerds on TeamSpeak and conference calls trying to make this stuff work.
Like I'm saying, if I can avoid software in my life, I do it. And that's my solve. Anyway, continue, Richard, with your headphone purchasing odyssey.
Yes, I convinced Sony that this was a good idea because they saw how many headsets I bought and they said, we can sell headsets to idiots all day. This is just money that we're missing. We need to have more audio gear for gamers. The other part is they introduced this handheld. Why is this my fault? Do you know how many Switches I've purchased? A lot of them. An almost untold number. I do not play the Nintendo Switch. I do not have one. I bought them for other people. My wife has two. I bought her one, then I bought a Switch OLED, and I thought that I would get one of them, but it turns out that she has two Nintendo Switches now.
That's cool.
And I think there are a lot of people like that, where like they have multiple ones. They have one for this room, they have one for that room, they have one to take on the go. And that's what Sony is chasing with this device, I think, is that you've got a PlayStation and you want to play it in another room and you don't have a briefcase TV because you didn't buy the $2,000 briefcase TV.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Are you just going to play games on your iPad like a normal?
It makes sense for lots of like families, right? You got a PS5 downstairs. You might have it connected to the big TV, speakers, whatever. That is like, you don't want another PS5 and TV rig upstairs. Moving the games back and forth sucks. Like, here's this thing, you can just like go play it in your bedroom. You can just like give one to your teenager, they can play in the bedroom. That seems to make a lot of sense. Does it allow you to simultaneously play on the PS5 and remotely?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, that seems. I mean, that's the miss.
Yeah, so this is my thing with this device is like the one use case I agree makes sense, right? Like there are times I want to play games sitting in bed or on the couch. Like my PlayStation is hooked up to the same monitor that I'm on right now on my computer. And there are other times I want to play games elsewhere. Moving my PlayStation is annoying. Completely get that. There are so many other things this thing could have done. Sony has game streaming that it could have done on the portal. Sony has some really cool old systems through which you can emulate old PlayStation games that it could have done on the portal. Sony could have done so many things that would have made this device cooler and better. It could have had streaming apps so you can watch movies and things when someone else is on your PlayStation. There's just a million ways it could have gone, and it picked none of them except like the minimum viable least thing this device could possibly be, and that just kind of drives me nuts.
Yeah, they picked the things that didn't require a processor.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, that's like kind of what it feels like. They made it as cheap as possible, but limiting the amount of local processing that is happening here and saying all of that's going to happen on your PS5.
I will say the only case in which that argument holds is if the battery life is as good as supposedly it might be. And I think Sony said to CNET, I think that the plan is to have the battery last as long as the DualSense controller, which is like 8 or 9 hours. That's pretty good. If I can sit there and play games on it for 8 hours on a charge, like that's legit. It's still not enough. I would trade 2 hours of that battery life for more things to do, but it's something.
Yeah. I would also point out, right, in one of the use cases here, what are you doing? You're on a trip, you're in a hotel room, you want to play your PS5 at home, your hotel has reasonably good Wi-Fi, you need, 15 megabits? That's sort of the recommended speed. You can get that in a lot of hotels nowadays. Great, you're playing. You know what you can also do is just bring a DualSense controller along and open the app on your iPad. Mm-hmm. And it's maybe not as seamless, but it also just, like, I have friends who just like do this all the time.
Yeah, it works. Like it's a totally valid gaming system. Like that's what I do right now in my house. And I have always thought that like when they first announced this as the Project Q, I was like, okay, add a switchy thing to my PlayStation rig and I'm golden. This solves all my problems. This now just is like a slightly less wonky version of the system I already have.
No, they didn't build a Switch. They built the Wii U, which
That's rough.
That's
was
right.
not popular. So that's not a great sign. But I think the thing that happens from Sony's perspective is that, yeah, sure, you could just hook up your DualSense to an iPad and play that way, but then you wouldn't pay Sony $200, which makes it less good for them. And they don't want to do more cloud streaming or anything because that would encourage you to buy fewer PS5s.
Yeah.
And they don't want to do that either.
It's true. You can also just do what I do, which is I bought a second power cable and a second HDMI cord, and I set them up in
that's smart.
sunroom where there's a projector, and I just move my PS5 around. And literally the only inconvenience of that is I have to remember to turn it off all the way.
It will scream at you if you do not do that.
Oh, it does that awful man. Yeah, I hate that.
It doesn't
thing.
like it.
No.
But I think the other part of this,
I moved my PS5 from the basement to the outside to play Madden on the projector all the time. It's fine.
yeah, that's what my Series S is for. It's when I want to play Xbox somewhere else.
Yeah,
I got it.
I love how Richard has just multiples of every console.
I know.
There's an Excel spreadsheet at both Microsoft and Sony. It's just labeled like Lawler margins.
No, you can pretty much predict what products people are going to come out by what I have 6 of. Because they're going to release more of those very soon. I think the other thing is that this signals that there's going to be another PS5 pretty soon.
Yeah.
We saw that shell leak of the slim, thick, whatever it is.
The slim thick.
If you look at it, you can see that they've released this audio gear that doesn't work with the PS5 without a USB dongle, which, we love the dongles. They don't.
Yeah.
They're going to need to release a system with that. They're going to do something. So we'll maybe have more clarity early next year, mid next year, when we get another PS5 and see how it all works together.
All right, this means we now have to talk about PlayStation Link. This is ridiculous that it doesn't have Bluetooth.
Yes.
It's ridiculous that these headphones are so expensive, don't work with the existing PS5. And Sony's claim is what? Just lower latency?
Yeah, that's about it.
something higher audio quality too, and they claim it's easier to switch between devices, which is funny because one of the things that Sony's headphones are notoriously not great at is switching between devices. So I don't know that I have a ton of faith in that, which is a thing you can do over Bluetooth and Sony does poorly. But yeah, in theory, there are like, they have a list of reasons and I don't find a single one of them compelling. And I think PlayStation Link as a thing is just like totally outrageous.
I mean, this is the sort of thing, and Marquez Brownlee made a video about this. This is the sort of thing that if Apple did it with the iPhone, like I would lose my mind. Like I accused Apple of wanting to do this when they released the AirPods and they took the headphone jack off the iPhone, right? Like we're going to get everyone used to wireless audio. Then we're going to build a proprietary wireless audio protocol, and you can only use our headphones. And this is true in phones, like all over the place.
And I will say a not small portion of that Apple has done.
Right. And so is Google and so is Samsung.
Yeah.
Everyone's phones now, they've all taken the headphone jacks away and they have Bluetooth, and then they have Bluetooth plus proprietary extensions that only their headphones can use. So the AirPods, obviously, bunch of features only AirPods can access on an iPhone. If you have a Samsung phone, there's a bunch of features that Samsung Buds can do. If you have a Pixel, the Pixel Buds have custom extensions. That's all shitty over there. But the reality is, like, most of those features aren't very good. Like, oh no, spatial audio, like whatever.
Also, I don't necessarily hate that as a thing. Like to say we support the standards, right? Like it's what Apple does with iMessage too. They're like, if you want to send SMSs, that's fine. We'll support it. It works. But if you want to exist in our system, everything is better. And like, do I wish the world was not that way? Yes. But like, that's how it is. And that's roughly fine as long as you're in a position where you can still fail sort of gracefully. This is like if Apple had just said no more SMSs ever.
Well, so the PlayStation Portal does have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which presumably has low latency. It's weird. It doesn't have the middle thing.
Right.
It doesn't have Bluetooth. So if you wanted to, you could get one of those like AirPods Bluetooth dongles that you use on an airplane seat back and plug that into your PlayStation Portal and then pair your AirPods to that. We're going to make Sean Hollister make that video one day. I can see it coming like a train in the night. But it is like, it's weird that you would build wireless radios that support your proprietary thing. You would have a headphone jack and then not the most common thing that your own headphones use.
It's the most classic Sony thing ever, making a weird proprietary thing that doesn't work with anyone else's stuff. The problem that you point out is that it doesn't work with their own headphones. Like I have a bunch of XM headphones here and none of them have it. Why is that? Like,
you get the feeling, I love talking about an org chart. You get the feeling that when like people walk into the Sony office, it's a little bit like Memento. Like they're just constantly introducing themselves to each other. Like, oh, you work on headphones? I didn't know we did headphones here.
We make headphones.
It's like
no one knows who the boom
TV people
speaker
come
guy
in. They're
is.
like, they're like, oh, we do PlayStations. We should maybe
the one party speaker guy is just in the back, just jamming the whole time.
He's just like livid. He's like super bass, and then like the mega bass team is like, what the fuck, like that's just Sony all the time.
True. Well, and the PlayStation team seems to be especially that way. Like the PlayStation team seems to not have to play by any of the other Sony rules and just kind of does whatever it wants at all times.
Yeah. The Memento comparison, I think, is a little dark. It's more like Dory in Finding Nemo.
Every time it turns around, it's like, who are you?
Like, I don't think everyone at Sony is heavily tattooed and trying to solve a murder. That would at least, I think, give them a little more purpose. This is much more like, hello, who are you?
You seem nice. Yeah.